I'll be telling you more about that in the days to come in our Facebook group, Positive Passionate Businesswoman. But today I want to introduce you to the lovely Leanne. Leanne Carius is the owner and founder of Feng Shui and More, and she blows my mind every time I chat with her. So Leanne was one of our speakers earlier this year on the Positive Passionate Businesswoman online meetup, which was just incredible. And she also has an online store, so you can go in once you've had a consult. What do we call it? A consultation with you, and we've done workshops with you. We can also then go to your store and buy the products that will help bring in the harmony into our home and change the chi, etc. So many different ways that you can be connecting with Leanne, and you'll notice in the caption there's all the different links for you to touch base with her. But in the meantime, hi and welcome, Leanne. It's great to have you here with me.
Hi, Carly. Thank you. It's awesome to be here. Thank you.
So great. So as you know, we've got 15 questions.
Yep.
And I'm going to get stuck straight in if you're feeling ready.
I'm ready.
Yay, let's start then. The first question is, tell me something about yourself that others may be surprised to know about you.
May be surprised to know about me. Okay. I am an absolutely mad motorbike person. I don't think I've actually shared that ever on my Facebook page either. I shared my surfing, but not my motorbiking, I don't think. But I had 3 boys. I've got my daughter, but 3 boys. So motorbikes have been in my family since my dad. He was a motorbike policeman when he first started years ago. And motorbikes have just been always in my life. Rob's a motorbike rider. So yeah, so I am just passionate about bikes. Bonneville is my absolute favorite.
Wow! And do you get on the back of your husband's motorbike, or do you ride your own?
Well, I went through this little, it's probably called a midlife crisis for most people, but I just called it an empowering moment where I decided I was no longer going to ride pillion. I was going to have my bike and I was going to be the one in charge. But I soon got over that because it's more fun on the back because I can look around and I can talk. And so I'm happy to go on the back again now. I've done the whole empowering thing.
That's so awesome. Do you know, my mum and her husband, last year they both got Harleys.
Oh,
and
nice.
Which I know, pretty classic, and they've had wraps put on them, and you know, my mum's has got yellow bumblebees on it. How many Harley Davidsons have you seen with yellow bumblebee wraps? Pretty cute. But what I think is really cool is that their helmets have some kind of talking system, so that when they're riding along they can chat together. I was like, that's pretty cool. I like that. But I personally like the idea of a sidecar, you know, like George and Mildred style. And so I said to my husband, who, as you know, is in a electric wheelchair, I was like, so I can't be the Mildred in the sidecar of the motorbike that you would be riding, because clearly you can't be riding. So how about we just get a sidecar on your wheelchair? That could be cute because, you know, the wheelchair is not that fast. So
nice.
My hair wouldn't even blow, really.
Yeah, no, I love the bikes. So my boys still ride. All my kids ride. Yeah. And we've even got the grandkids started now. So that's the next generation I'm really excited about. So, yeah.
I hope that you're going to start sharing some pictures on your socials, because
I don't have a lot. That's the thing, because I just never thought to take photos of all that stuff. I don't have very many photos at all of that, but we might have to start getting a collection together.
Yeah, maybe this weekend. It's time to go out riding and have a photo shoot. Oh, that'd be fun. So, Leanne, if there was something in your past that you were able to go back and do differently, what would that be?
Quit my corporate work.
Sorry. Quit your corporate work.
I would have, I would have quit 2 years. Well, not quit. I don't like the word quit. So I'd have made different choices. I would have certainly, when I knew it was time to finish, I'd have finished. I wouldn't have waited another 2+ years to do that, because by the time I did finish, I'd reached burnout by burnout by burnout, and I was just a basket case, really. So I'd have finished earlier.
What do you think's behind that, Leanne? Do you think, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in that same situation, so would it be fear and uncertainty of the future or what is it that would stopping you from moving to that next stage?
No, it was fear of failure. It was like if you quit, well, because I kept having the word quit in my head at the time, and I know it's not quit, but I grew up in a family that you don't quit things. You know, you see it to the end. You don't start something and not finish it. And so I just had in my head that it was failure because you hadn't seen it to the end. But the problem was every year it just kept going. So there was no end. And like most things, it'll keep going when you're gone. It's just different when you're gone. So I should have, probably it was my head that wouldn't let me do it. I was compelled to, and it was never about the money for me. It was never, ever about the money. It wasn't actually until 2 years after I finished that I actually woke up one day and I said to my husband, I really should look at our finances because I have no idea where we are or what we're doing or anything, because I never thought about the money. It wasn't important to me, but my job was important and I loved what I did. Oh God, I loved it. I loved event work. I loved the busyness and the people, but my head just wasn't in the game the last 2 years. I burnt out so badly. So yeah, I'd have chosen a better way to think about finishing, and I'd have left when I knew my gut was telling me it was time to go.
That's powerful. I'm really glad that you shared that because, as I said, I'm sure there's a lot of people in that situation that are that are teetering on, should I go or should I stay now? You know, and it's time to go, perhaps. So
think about you go, because the future outside of when you go is beyond what you can imagine. You know, when you're in that place, because you're not thinking, you're in burnout probably, and you can't think. You're not thinking, so you can't see how bright the future is for you when you're in there. So you need to pack up your stuff, get your box out of there, and just go. Just do it. Which is easier said than done. And I can say that easily now, but it was so hard. It was so hard. You know, it really was. And it actually took my 18-month-old granddaughter, being told my 18-month-old granddaughter had cancer, that was the absolute final straw for me. So I had to get to that point, which was another challenge in itself. So yeah.
Wow, Leanne. How did that outcome go?
She's beautiful. She's what is she now, 7, and she's beautiful and she's gorgeous. But it was just, I just needed, obviously I wasn't going to go of my own free will. I needed something to really jolt me out of my reality. So you know, we had her unwell and then we had my dad unwell, and so it was just like I was pushed to be in the places where I was meant to be. And mothering is really important to me. It's always been my primary thing. And I'd forgotten what I was meant to be doing. So that was kind of like the universe just gave me back all the opportunities that I needed right then to nurture, because nurturing is what I love. And so that was just what I was meant to be doing. And it just worked out beautifully. I mean, we lost Dad, but in the process, I got to spend time and nurture. And my granddaughter, you know, I nurtured with my daughter, and it was beautiful. And she's wonderful. She's the most amazing young girl today. So yes, we're very blessed, very blessed.
Yay! What an amazing outcome, and what an amazing journey for you since the leaving of the job. So
yeah,
fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
That's all right.
So, Leanne, what do you love most about what you do with Feng Shui and More? So I'd love it if you told us about what you do within that and what you love the most about it.
I love the fact that I can see and I can be a part of creating beautiful changes for people in their environments. So many people, again, we're in environments that we don't know can be any different because we just think it's the way it is. But it's amazing when you start to change just a little bit of energy in a house, how quickly people change in the house and how relationships change and finances change, and it just creates a whole different perspective for people. And suddenly they start to love their homes again. They start to value why they went to that place in the first place. They value relationships. And I think for me, it's the creating harmony again in the energy that just brings me such joy. When people ring me and go, oh my God, you've got no idea the change we've had already and it's less than 24 hours. I'm like, oh yeah, I do. You know what you're going through. So yeah. So, it's just seeing people living in the spaces they're meant to be living in. So yeah.
Have you ever come across a space that you cannot change?
No.
So even if it's a tiny apartment with giant concrete columns and amongst it all, do you still find ways to change in that energy?
You can always change something. For a lot of people, that I think the fallacy around Feng Shui is people believe that they've got to shift a wall or use big money to create a whole new environment. It's really not. It's just working with the 5 elements. And so even in a small apartment that's got lots of apartments around it and things, you can find sanctuary in those places and you can create beautiful harmony within. And it's really about what's the most important thing you want to change. Let's change that first. Let's get that right first. And then let's look at where you're sleeping and where you're eating and where you're working, because those energies also affect. So if we can just change 1 or 2 of those things, it can absolutely change a whole environment, and slowly. You don't want to go in and change everything really quickly, but slowly. And I've never had anyone that hasn't been able to have a change. It may not always be the change of energy they want, though, I must say. So, some people still want to be surrounded by negative chi. That's just how they are. And no matter what we do, they will find a way to create negative chi. And that's just people. But I can tell you now that 99.99% of the houses we work with, the people want change. And when they feel the change, they embrace it beautifully. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. So with what's going on at the moment with a lot of people in lockdown, not just here in Australia, but all around the world, do you think that it's really important that now is the time that they start looking at, and obviously they can connect with you in your Facebook groups where you give out tips and all that kind of stuff about how to change that energy. But I'm sure there's a lot of people really feeling quite stuck in their environment and quite unhappy with it, and a bit negative around being stuck at home. So making some tweaks, for some feng shui principles and stuff. Do you think that that is a really wonderful time to do that right now?
Absolutely. There is no better time than now to be doing something about your energy. And I think the thing with COVID is that because we are stuck in our spaces for longer, the energy's got more. So like if you normally go to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and then you come home and you spend a weekend, then all of a sudden your house has got you, your kids, your hubby, or anybody else all in that space. The energy is bopping all around the place. You're overstimulating energy that normally is never, ever changed. This is why people are suddenly starting to feel like, what is going on in my house? Like all of a sudden it's really chaotic, or there's anxiety, or we've got unwellness or things like that. And it's like, because we've just stimulated energy that normally is staying nice and calm and quiet, and we're not messing with that. So I think the thing with lockdown is that we need to stop listening to all the drama. That's my first thing for people, because you bring that into your house. So what you bring in, when you walk in through your front door, you're like a breeze and you're going to flow through your house. So whatever's going on up here and in your energy, so you've brought that in with you, that energy, it's flowing with you. So it's going in through all your spaces, through everyone and touching everyone. So shake it off at the door, like let it off at the door, step into your door with a really good attitude, and 9 times out of 10, that will start to change the chi back to where you want it. But then also look at things like where are you stored? Is all the stuff? Like where have you suddenly got a heap of stuff? Have you suddenly been a big online shopper and got all these boxes and stuff, and because you just had to have it because you didn't have anything else to do in lockdown? Where's it stored? 9 times out of 10, where clutter is A, where you've got resistance to change, or it's where your money should be flowing. So have a look at that. Look at where all that stuff is as well. So, so yes, lockdown has changed things for people, but I think it's because a lot of people are in their spaces more than they've ever been before.
Crikey, Leanne, that's some powerful words there. My brain was going overtime about an area I've got in my house that's got some stuck energy and needs to be dealt with. I'm thinking that might be my project tonight. Let's go and sort that out. I'm ready to make movement there. Thank you. I love that.
Now, yeah, I'm not a minimalist by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I do collect things and I have things. I don't believe in it has to be a sparse, barren home, but there's a difference between too much, not enough. It's this little balance in the middle of what do you actually need, what do you actually love, and that's the important thing.
What do you need? What do you love? That's so beautiful. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what do you love least about what you do?
I think what I love least is, gosh, I don't know that I love anything least. I probably love least at the moment that I can't travel to Asia like I was 2 to 3, I was going, at least twice a year traveling. So that's probably what I love the least at the moment, is that I'm stuck here in Australia and I can't get out. But no, I don't think there's anything that I love least. My beautiful weather would probably say I'm not a techie girl, so it's probably all the techie stuff.
That's why you have a VA though, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think what I've done is the things that I don't enjoy or that are just not me, that's what she does. And she allows me to just do what I do well. I have a really good team. I have a couple of team members that work in our store with me. That they are just amazing salespeople, and not because they just can sell product, but they can sell product and tell you why you need it and what you can do with it. And then it's like, well, don't buy that because you don't need that, but you could do this. So they're very strategic about making sure what you're buying is real, because we don't want you to have more stuff in your house that's not necessary. So I've got a great team. So I think what I've managed to do, particularly in the last 18 months, and with a lot of help from you, Kylie, is I've given off the things that I thought I had to be doing it all myself, and allowed others to take control of the things that I probably don't enjoy the most.
Good on you, Leanne. That is absolutely fantastic. And big clap for Weta. And also,
I know, she's awesome.
And the people that also work with you with the store. That's amazing too.
I have a great team. I have a wonderful, and Weta's the youngest. Everybody else is over. So they're 55 and over, everybody else. I've got a couple that are 70, and they're awesome. They're awesome ladies. So I can't, it's wonderful.
Wicked. I'm stoked to hear that. What an amazing thing it is to have a great team. I feel eternally grateful for that myself.
Yeah.
So, Leanne, if you weren't doing this, so being a Feng Shui expert, consultant, running a Feng Shui store, etc., what would you be doing instead?
Funny you asked that, Kylie, because I've been having a conversation with my husband recently. They're all in building. My whole family's in building, and my daughter's family's, everyone's in building. So we've done houses for a very long time, which is where my Feng Shui kind of came in, because it was like, what's not working? But I've actually just started probably really in fostering because going back to my nurturing roots, and I've been becoming more domesticated. So I've been making jams, and I've been cooking, and I've been growing veggies, and I've got the girls in the chook house, and I've gone back onto the land again like we were when we were on the farm probably more years ago, and I'm loving it. So I actually said to my husband, the next step for me is like, I really think I'm ready to semi-retire and touch the earth, get in with my grandkids, and do that stuff. Still do what I'm doing, but I would be doing more of that. I really miss that nurture side of me at times. So yeah.
But it's so doable, isn't it? Because all you need is, as you said before, having a great team behind you. And once all that's set up, that just tickety-boos along. And then you do as much or as little of the presenting and consulting and all of that as you want.
Yeah, I think the fact that when you've got a great team and they're doing the stuff that, well, A, you're not good at, and B, the stuff you don't want to do, it allows you to, like, I get out in the veggie patch or in the garden, and find my creativity just explodes. Like, I suddenly have all these ideas of, like, well, we could feng shui this and we could feng shui that, and we could, so you expand your creativity around your business and your ideas. So then you get back in the office and they all freak because suddenly you're going, oh my God, we could do this, we could do this.
Uh,
So I think it's good to step out of your business. Like, as I say, like, yes, work on it and all that stuff. But you know what? When we have something else that we love, we need to make sure we're nurturing that as well, because otherwise, what is the purpose of it? What's the point? What is the point? What are we doing?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Leanne, with my Hello Media hat on, I would like to say how incredible that sounds. So you could schedule out at least 2 days a week. That is your creativity days. So often I call them CEO days, but I think for you, they're creativity days. And then you can spend that time in the veggie garden, spend that time doing whatever, and vlog about it. So just record it on your phone, video some stuff, and show people what, particularly your clients and your followers who, are trying to do it in their own space with your guidance, but then you're showing them what you're doing in your space. And, how all the stuff that you're teaching is actually being used for you. How amazing. I'd love to.
Well, it's funny you say that, Kylie, because we are just about to move out of, well, we're technically out of the big house, but we're officially moving out of the big house. And anyway, because I don't want to go back in there. It's too big. We don't need it. So I've actually just worked with a colleague of mine, and she's going to record it all. And this will be actually about me moving. So it's me actually going through and dealing with, the kids stuff that we've got to let go of. Whoops. And the and everything else. So we're actually going to blog and record all that. And we've got a course coming up that people can join, which will be about going through those processes and how to go through it and doing all that. And then, but yes, we will need to get in the veggie patch as well, because I think I'd rather do that than do the big house.
Well, that's awesome. I think you got to start with 1 day a week first, called Creativity Day, whether that's in the house or in the veggie garden, either way. That's exciting. Yay, get going with that. Woohoo! All right, so the next question is, what's been your biggest success in your working life? What are you most proud of?
In my working life, wow. There's been so much. I think, wow, that's a really good question, and really, that's really hard to answer.
Could it be starting your own business?
Yeah, look, I think there's been lots of little successes along the way that build your confidence and build your skills. I mean, I guess, like, your first job is always a great success when you're, so, because I had my first job when I was 12, and it was a telephonist in an old post office where we lived. And so, you pull the plugs in, they've got lines, and you're doing all that cords and all the rest of it. So that for me was just like, because when you're the daughter of a policeman and you go into a town, you're not normally welcomed extremely well. Well, back then it was really different. So I think probably the fact that I landed that job and nobody else did was a success. So I think the fact that I got that job and I learned so much. This couple that taught me so much, and I learned really good ethics around business. So I think the jobs I had before I was probably, finished high school were the jobs where I learned the most. I learned about values and ethics and how to do good business and stuff. So I think they would be my successes that are kind of a bit pinnacle for me. So yeah.
Fantastic. And in your current business, so as a feng shui consultant rather than as a product-based business, who are your dream clients and what type of jobs do you like doing the most with them?
My dream clients are anyone who's prepared to make a change. So anyone who's open to looking at things a bit differently, anyone who's open to thinking outside the box, that maybe there's something more if they're not used to working with energy and that, then they're the people that I love working with. I love helping anyone who has an interest in or a desire to change the way they're living is center for me, top and center for me, because they're the people that are ready to make a difference and make a change. So they would be, yeah, they would have to be. I have such a variety of customers and clients. You know, we have from small spaces, tiny houses, right up to, you know, corporate business. So we kind of float along the scale there all the time with different clients. But I think anyone who knows something's not quite right, but they just reach out and they just need a hand, they're my pick of people. Yeah.
Oh, love that. Love it. So what challenges do you see impacting your industry?
Our product.
Uh-huh.
You can't buy our product in Australia. Like, there's no manufacturers in Australia. So we are, as much as we try and stay Australian, we just can't keep everything Australian. So we have to go overseas. We have to go into Asia, because that's where most of our products come from. Because we source traditional, and we source really good quality products. And we have manufacturers and agents that we work with in Asia. And the fact that we're supporting families at the end of the day, regardless of where they are, to me is really important. It's important to me that we are giving something back to people who need something. That is really, really important to me. But product will be our biggest challenge, because it has been already. So we are sourcing new avenues, and we're talking to manufacturers in Australia. But at the moment, it will be a challenge. Yes, yeah.
Tricky. You're definitely not the only one that has said that, and to me,
no, it's around a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very tricky. So, Leanne, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a wee lass?
Oh, I was going to join the police force. Absolutely.
Like your
My dad,
daddy.
yeah. When my dad was a policeman, we're talking like the early 1970s, and we were in little towns. Well, you got to really see what he did. We got to be a part of what he did, and the warts and all, you know, the good stuff, the bad stuff, and the really ugly in the middle. So, but I would often get the privilege of being with Dad on jobs, like, oh, well, not on jobs, but we would go, he'd have to run up miles on the car. So I would go with him, and you could guarantee there'd always be a job or something. So I just loved it. I loved everything about what he did. I thought he was amazing at his job. I thought he just did an amazing job. So yeah, that's where I was heading, but he was not so happy about that. So
Oh,
no, he wasn't happy about that at all. And there wasn't a lot of women in the force back then. So, you know, it was very different than what it is today. So, but yeah, that's where I was going. And that's what I would have done if he'd have been more excited about me joining.
Would you have also been a motorcycle police rider?
I don't know. I've never thought about that. I probably would have ventured down there at some point, I would have hoped. So yeah, it would have been exciting. That would have been great. So, but yeah, no, definitely that would have been where I was. Yeah.
Cool. So, Leanne, if you're an animal, what animal would you like to be?
An animal. Oh. Oh my goodness, that's another great question, Carly. An animal. I think I'd have to be, you know, I have got so many animals going through my head right now, and I'm thinking, oh no, I don't like that one. No, I don't like that about that one. So, I think I would just be probably a dog, because I think at the end of the day, they're just so faithful, aren't they? They're just so faithful. They just, they just seem to have a really good set of values, and they're just so faithful. And you rile them up and they'll bite you, and that's probably me. You can say so much, and then all of a sudden you're going to get nipped.
I love that, Leanne. What sort of a dog would you be?
Oh my God. Probably a Labrador, because I just love them. I've had lots of Labradors.
Just before you said it, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, how beautiful. I can imagine you as a golden Labrador.
Yeah.
I think a Labrador is a beautiful thing. We know some people with a chocolate one. Our neighbours have got a black one, and I grew up with a golden one, and they're all delightful natures, aren't they?
Yes, we've had a few in our day, and they are beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, so if you're a movie character, who would you be and why?
A movie character. A movie character. I think I'd have to be someone from the old movies, because I love old movies. I love those really old movies. But who would I be? Wow. It's really thinking work, this, isn't it? Because it's like making you think outside the square of what you normally would be thinking. I think actually, no, I think Meryl Streep. I just love her. I just love the fact that she's so transparent. When she's doing a role, she absorbs it, she becomes it, and she actually just really becomes who the character is, and just has no limitations on being something. She doesn't always have to be glamorous and perfect, and but she's just beautiful. She's just beautiful. So yeah.
Which is your favorite film of hers?
Which is, sorry?
Your favorite film of hers?
Oh, Mamma Mia.
How disappointing was number 2, which only had a tiny little feature in there. It's like, come back, Meryl, come back.
I know. I just love it. And I love the fact that, her voice was raspy, and she was just, she just was beautiful. She just oozed that really nice energy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on the way she just takes on those characters. So, we all know some actors and actresses that are just same role every single, they put the same character into every role, yet she doesn't. She's completely different across all of them. Yeah, she's amazing. All right, I'm with you on that. So what about if you could live anywhere in the world, anywhere, because COVID wasn't happening, where would you live?
Probably Japan.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I love it. It's one of my favorite places, one of my absolute favorite places.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. What's your favorite part of Japan?
I think the villages. I think the heritage centers. I think I'm not so big on Tokyo and Shinto and all those places, but the Kyoto I loved. I love Kyoto. I thought that was beautiful. Like, we actually got really seriously lost in Kyoto, which was really scary at the time. But I love those. I love being more in the villages, more in the areas that aren't populated or haven't become commercialized. And yeah.
Isn't that what we love about all places when we're visiting somewhere new? I think, though, is getting into. I just watched this film last night at the cinema called something about the vines, set in Italy, and getting to know those characters in a village or characters in a small town is so completely different to city.
Yeah, absolutely. The people are. I just find the people are. But I do in all of Asia. Like, I just have an affinity to Asia. I find even in China, the people that I've met and I've, studied with and I've worked with, they're just beautiful people, And I think sometimes we need to just remember they're people and get to know the people. That's what I think is important. Is not people, because they're all living their own race and their own journey and their own story. So, you just got to, and when you get to know them, you learn so much about culture and different things like that, you know, we never, I think too, because it's so different to our culture here in Australia. I think that's what I love as well. There's such a contrast. And it's cold. We can go there in the snow. So that's
Yeah. Oh, you make me want to go back to Japan now. I haven't been in over 20 years. That would be good.
yeah.
Let's hope those travel borders open soon.
Yes, yes.
So we're up to question number 13. We've only got a couple left.
Okay.
So tell me, Leanne, what does being a positive and passionate woman in business mean to you?
Absolutely being there for other women. I think that sometimes we don't have to do a lot to support another woman. Sometimes it's just the smallest of things that encourages another woman. But I think the other thing is that it's also about empowering our younger generations. You know, it's our younger girls, like our granddaughters, and it's letting them see that you there's nothing wrong with being kind. I think that is the important thing. And that's the one thing I teach my granddaughters is that I don't care what happens at the end of the day, but if you've been kind to someone, then that just empowers them to be a whole different human being, because sometimes they haven't had kindness shown to them. So being kind and just doing little things. You know, I just did a blog actually on the weekend, a few blogs, which is all around kindness for this next month. And it was just little things that you can do that can actually make someone just change the whole way they're thinking and empower them to be something that they never even thought they could be. So, yeah.
So beautifully, Anne. I think that's going to be our word of the day or word of the week is just be kind.
Yeah.
Well, that's 3 words. Just be kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just love it.
I say to all my grandkids, you know, what's Nanny's word? Because it's like, you know, just there's just not enough kindness in the world anymore. Like people want to do things, and so many people are out to do things for others, but they want it. They're constantly wanting a return back. You know, it's so hard to find places and spaces where people will just give you their time or something that you need to empower you right there and then to make a difference. So yeah, and it just doesn't have to be big. It's just the simplest of things. But it's just, you know, just be kind. So,
Yes, I love it. I love it. So tell me, what are you most proud of in your whole life? Not just your business life, but your whole life.
Oh, my kids. Yeah. I have a shirt that I had done, which is Mother of Awesomeness, because they're just awesome. They are beyond awesome. Like, you know, I often have people say to me like, oh, my kids are doing this, I'm going, I don't really remember my kids doing that. And my daughter-in-law said to me the other day, yeah, that's because your mind blocks it all out so you don't have to remember it. But they're just great kids. They're, you know, they're not just successful in their own right, and they're not just doing wonderful things, but they are just great people. And I just think, you know, at the end of the day, that comes down to great parenting.
I totally agree. And I say congratulations to you. I've been going through a similar thing myself. My daughter's now 18. She's doing her last year of school. And I just think, how did I escape so easily? She never was a horrible teenager or a horrible little kid or anything like that. And you know what it comes down to is that one word. She's kind.
Yes.
She's a really good human, that she's thoughtful and kind. And I just think, well, I did something right, didn't I? That's weird.
Yeah. That's it. And I mean, they've all got beautiful partners that just, I don't know, they've just really done well. And you know, I just think that, you know, we've had some moments. There's no denying we've had a moment or two with each of them at some point. But I think the fact that I don't know, they're just nice people, you know, they're just, I'm just so proud of them. So yeah, that would be my proudest.
Yeah. Awesome, Leanne. I love it. So our 15th and final question of the night is, what's one tip that you can share of how you stay positive when things are challenging?
I walk away from everything. I just get up and I just walk away. I may share with you a couple of times if I'm not positive, but I just walk away from it all. I just shut it down and I just go, you know what? I need to take a mental health moment, because if I sit there in that moment and I continue in that space, it just spirals out of control and my head just gets in all sort of horrible places. So it's like, shut it down, check my Feng Shui is working right, because maybe something's not quite right. And then I just get outside or have a cuppa, and then I come back in and go, okay, start again. What's the solution? Because that's what I've always been able to do, is I walk away and I always know when I come back in, I will find a solution. It's all good.
How interesting that you've left it there when we rewound it. But if we rewound what we were talking about before, about how if you could do something differently, it was to have walked away sooner.
Yeah.
And clearly that's been a giant lesson in your life.
Absolutely.
And now it's the thing that you know to do in every situation. I love that, Leanne. Amazing. I'm going to take that one on board and ponder that one this evening.
No worries.
Thank you. Well, look, thank you so much for spending this time with me tonight and sharing some laughter and some, really intense stories. And I don't mean your stories were intense, but intense subjects and things, and some fun and frivolity at the same time. So
yeah. Sharing more than I ever have. So that's a lot of sharing tonight.
Well, it was wonderful. I feel like I've learned a whole lot of new stuff about you. And it's so great having you in our huddle of positive, passionate businesswomen.
Oh, it's lovely.
And, getting to connect with you as much as I do. So thank you for being part of this. For all of you watching and listening, if you want to connect with Leanne, you can see all the details there in the chat. In the caption, and links to her Facebook groups, etc. And I highly recommend following Leanne, and especially signing up for her newsletters, because they're a treat in themselves. So
thank you. Thanks, Kylie.
Awesome. You're amazing, Leanne. You consistently inspire me, and I'm so glad to connect with you. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Have a wonderful evening.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.